everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, December 5th, 2021. Chance is back! He's back from the dead. And he made his debut to us wearing a sensible brown sweater with brown shoulder patches. He looked like a wounded soldier or a high school English teacher. I'll let you pick which one it is. Next time you see him, look at him and think, high school English teacher. That's all I'm saying. No. Soldier. Chance is back, and he wants justice. Justice for the men who were lost in the Spanish explosion. He saw the faces of the enemy, and now he must destroy them. One man, one mission, one chance. Coming this Christmas to CBS. Oh, what do you think, chatters? Let's do a first impressions poll for new Chance. Go to yrchance.com, yrchat.com, and tell me what you think about new Chance. Just on your first impression, do you like him? Do you not like him? Is there something that could have been better? Go ahead and dish at yrchat.com. Oh, he and Abby had a tearful reunion that was a long time coming. And she was really getting reacquainted with all of that thick, luxurious hair on his head. I'm telling you, Chance may be psychologically damaged, but his hair is flawless. She was running her fingers through the back of it, the front of it, the sides of it, all week long, from Spain to Genoa City, really seeming to enjoy soaking in all of that hair. Watch for that next week, too. The way she just cannot keep her hands out of his hair. Oh. Well, new Chance and his hair are hard to tame, everyone. Chance did not want to just up and return to Genoa City with Abby. He is on a mission, and he wants to complete it. Abby had to work hard to break that conditioning. She told him, now you listen, Buster. There are a lot of guys out there that can complete this mission, but I only have one husband, and Dominic only has one father. Wait, one father? Well, if you say so. Jack and Ashley's search for Abby had come up empty until Abby just called Ashley for support. Poor Chance. All I could think all week is poor Chance. He stressed to Abby over and over again how dangerous it was that she even knew that he was alive. He was very concerned about any phone calls that she made, who might have seen her, followed her, and now his mother-in-law is standing in the living room of his hideout house. And hey, Ashley, is there anyone else who you might want to bring into the mix too? You want to bring Uncle Jack into the loop maybe? Maybe Christine? Anybody else? No, we're being discreet here, right? Discretion is of the utmost importance. I'm sure that no one's gonna follow them home next week. I'm sure that everyone won't be put into some form of danger at the welcome home party next week. No, don't worry. There will be extra security. The security will be extra. It's all fine. Oh. Chance was so adamant about his mission, and then he makes a 30-second phone call to his commanding officer, and the commanding officer was like, "Oh, you'd rather go home instead? Well, that's cool. No problemo, buddy. Just go. Enjoy your life." I mean, we here at the government will make sure to pay indefinitely to make sure that someone is watching you and keeping you safe at all times. Go. Just go. So Chance says goodbye to the kindly old couple that nursed him back to health. Well, except Y&R apparently could not spring for 2 actors to fulfill that part of the story. We just saw the wife, who reminded me of Hope Adams, by the way. Adams' mother. She was giving me Hope vibes. It's a good thing that she was not a young sexy staying at that house alone with Chance the entire time, because Abby would have lost her mind. Had this kindly old woman not been a kindly old woman and had been a sexy young girl, oh, Abby would have lost her mind. Oh. Well, even though Chance has been reassured that this mission is under control, I would not be surprised if next week we got word that that kindly old couple was killed by the bad guys. And if that happens, Chance's hair is gonna be so mad. Imagine that your name is Nina Webster, okay? Imagine that you're grieving your beloved dead son, and then one day Abby video calls you and without much fanfare flips the phone around and boom, dead son. Not so dead after all. Don't you think it might have been better, kinder, to make a special trip to wherever Nina is, Australia, who cares, to let her know this type of information in person? Would that have been too much to ask? They have a private jet at their disposal. They're on the tarmac right now. They're gassed up and ready to go. I don't know if I can handle too much more of this phone emotion. We're getting too much phone emotion. Nina deserved to get this news in person. She has been with Abby practically since the day that Chance left. They needed to fly to Australia with a therapist, with Sharon, to deliver the news in person to Nina. They needed Sharon to be there to deliver the news to Nina in the most delicate way possible so as not to scar her for life. But instead, they were like, just FaceTime it. Chance will soon be settled back at home into his perfect life with his perfect wife and his perfect home. Perfect. The end. Yeah, Abby walked him through the front door of the Chance Manch. Chance has arrived back at the Chance Manch. And what he said was, I feel like a complete stranger coming back here. Yeah, you are. And that's called foreshadowing. Feeling like a stranger in your own life. Got it. I also got the impression that Jill also got the shock of her life when she walked through the door of the Chancellor mansion and saw her dead grandson standing there in the flesh. Where the heck is Sharon when you need her? I'm sorry, but laying eyes on the Walking Dead is something that might need to be handled with a little more care. But this is soap operas. It's just another day in soaps. I loved Jill's reaction to it all. I love Jess Welton. What can I say? I feel like she gave us so much emotion toward an actor that we know she's never worked with before. I mean, the tears in her eyes were real. It was as if she'd known this kid her whole life, from kid to adult. She was happy and sad and mad all at the same time. And now she's just excited to have her grandson back and to meet her great-grandson. Yeah. Abby and Chance didn't waste any time before heading over to Devon's penthouse. Didn't waste any time before introducing Chance to his gulp son. Devon was a champ. He was a champ. I mean, he put that baby right into another man's arms, and he said, Chance, meet your son. And Dominic, meet your dad. And he did it with a big smile on his face, but just beneath the surface of that smile, the look in Devon's eyes said, No. It's Tummy Time Tuesday. Amanda and Imani have selected their office space, and they're getting closer and closer to hanging out the open sign, open for business. Oh, I loved feeling like we had gone office space hunting with those two, even though we didn't. But I was imagining the high-rise office that Imani wanted and the storefront office that Amanda wanted. And now I'm imagining the Victorian that they finally settled on. Ooh, I hope that it actually looks like the way they've described. I mean, I think that's quite a way to build anticipation for the new set. I can't wait to see the new set. I hope that it has character, you know. I hope that it has a character all of its own, because some of the sets are a little bland, a little nondescript, and boy, it just, I don't know, having a converted Victorian, that sounds fun. Sounds like something different visually, and I hope that's what we get. I also loved the little moment after Imani and Amanda had settled on the office where they were ready to toast, and Amanda said, "To Sinclair and Benedict," and Imani held her champagne glass, looked very pensively at Amanda, and said, maybe it should be Benedict and Sinclair. And she didn't seem like she was joking. But Amanda totally blew it off. She just gave her a look and said, girl. I love Michelle Morgan. I'm just so thrilled still to have her back. Like, Amanda's too cool. You know, she's just too cool. I mean, nobody could be Drusilla, but there are certain points where I get Drusilla vibes from Amanda. She just fills that space, and I really like it. I really like her. I also think that Imani has a lot of potential. I think she could be fierce, but I also think she has the potential to be fun and funny, because I laughed at Imani teasing Devon that Naya and her husband were house hunting in the same building where Devon lives, and she was kind of teasing and poking at him, saying, yeah, they could live downstairs and just pop by on you two anytime they wanted. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That was a funny line. Well written. I just hope that Imani doesn't get too comfortable popping by. I don't want Imani to start getting the wrong idea and maybe start getting some feelings for Devon. I need Imani to remember her true life's goal here. Nate, and only Nate. Noah has agreed to design Tessa's album cover, as if there was ever any doubt. But that means, look out, Mariah. Those two could be spending some extra time together, getting those creative juices flowing. Oh, I feel so guilty. I feel bad that the chemistry between Noah and Tessa is so off the charts. 'Cause, well, Tessa and Mariah have worked hard on their relationship to get where they are. And also, I think Noah has this great relationship with his sister. I totally buy new Noah and Mariah as family. I can see them sitting in the bleachers together at Christian's Pee Wee sports game. They really read as family. Again, this casting of Noah is so good. But there's just also so much beneath his surface that I have questions about and I'm excited to discover. Because I also wonder if Noah was subtly feeding into Mariah's desire to have kids. Because he was kind of pumping her up this week about what a cool mom she would be. And Noah knows that that's a sore spot for Mariah and Tessa in their relationship. So I don't know, maybe there was a little bit of conscious or subconscious manipulation going on there. Hopefully not. I don't know. I don't want, if Noah and Tessa do get together, I don't want it to have been manipulated. I don't want new Noah to turn out to be a manipulator. I would like to think that he's a good guy, and I don't know. I also think, though, that it's inevitable that Tessa and Noah are going to hook up, right? I mean, the twist of Tessa saying no to having a baby with Mariah right now and then ending up pregnant by accident with Noah's child, that is just way too juicy to pass up. Phyllis continues to pour over her unexpected feelings for Jack, and Jack continues to pour over his never-ending feelings for her. Phyllis runs into Billy this week, though, and I think it's interesting that part of the story is being pushed to the forefront. Phyllis told Billy about her Thanksgiving dream, and things were very prickly between them, but I don't know, it kind of ended on a little bit more of an ally note. At first, Billy seemed very put off by the idea that she was dreaming about him. Oh, Billy, not that kind of dream. You would think that, though. But the conversation was interesting because Phyllis was seeming to try to do for Billy what he had done for her in her dream. She was telling him and wanting to remind him that he deserves love the way that he reminded her that she deserves love in her dream. And even though Billy feels cast out right now, maybe that's what he needs to hear. And I mean, again, also, they're in Phyllis's dream last week. That connection was being drawn. Phyllis said, Billy and I are the same. So that tells me that maybe we are building back toward Billy and Phyllis at least becoming allies. Maybe there could be a partnership there, which the timing is pretty good on too, because that surely should make Jack wiggle in his loafers. Kudos to the writers, because I think Jill's return has been very nicely written. I really only expected to be seeing her for 1, maybe 2 episodes, but instead she's been here all week, and I think she's going to be here next week some too. It's been really good to have a chance and have enough time, really, to dig into what Jill thinks about everything that has gone on in Genoa City since we last saw her. But also we've had enough time to sit down and let her talk about where she is at this stage in her life. And at this stage in her life, Jill is ready to get rid of the mess that's on her hands. Chancecom is in chaos. Billy is maybe going to self-destruct again. And Jill just wants to retire. She just wants to kick back and be relaxed and be a grandma. And, at first when Jill got back into town and she stopped by Lily and Billy's place, I was disappointed. I felt like she was being really cold toward Billy, and I kept thinking, wait a minute. This is Jill's son. She should be having a complex reaction here. It should be a mixture of disappointment and love and everything in between. And instead, Jill seemed to have absolutely no tenderness for him, and no use for him either. I mean, she made her disapproval known, and then she sent him away so that she could have a private conversation with Lily. It was like she was sending the kid out of the room so that the adults could have a conversation. And honestly, that was the beginning of me building up my own well of empathy for what Billy is going through and where he is. Now, don't get me wrong. We all know Billy has made his own choices. There's no way around that. Billy made his own choices. He made his own bed. There's no doubt about it. But like every other character on the show, I think we have to assume that Billy is a fully realized human being here. He is someone who has hopes. He's someone who has dreams. He's someone who has a future, and he's someone who has a past. And to be humiliated, to be cast out like a child and dismissed by his own mother, had to hurt. Jill tells Lily that she's stepping down as the head of Chancellor Industries, probably so that Y&R doesn't have to stand on ceremony every time they want to get something done. And that way, Jill's kind of still a part of the show, but they can also write around her when they need to and just kind of bring her in incidentally whenever they'd like. But that means that one of our legacy companies, in fact, our oldest legacy company that we still have around, Chancellor Industries, needs a CEO. And Jill thinks Lily will be the perfect fit. But just Lily, not Billy. Right now, Billy and Lily are co-CEOs at Chancecom, but Jill tells Lily she's the one who would be in charge. It's Lily's CEO title and only Lily's CEO title, and she can go ahead and give Billy a job if she wants to, but he's not allowed out of his room. I mean, he's not allowed to have any real power. Give him a blow-off position, like COO. COO, easy breezy. It's like some people work their whole lives vying for a position like COO, and precious few of them actually achieve it. But these people in Genoa City are like, COO, whatever. Just let him do that. Surely he can handle something, like a chump could do the COO position. Oh. But Billy doesn't want a chump position. Billy doesn't want a blow-off position. He doesn't want to be demoted. Billy wants to be vindicated. That's what it is. He wants vindication. He knows that the story about Jesse Gaines that he published was true. I mean, whether or not he intended to publish it, he knows it was true. And he's going to focus all of his energy toward proving that it's true. Billy wants now to turn the tables on Victor and Adam. And I, for one, am looking forward to it. I think we've got what we're setting up here is going to be really, really good and juicy and intense drama. I'm ready to see Billy's comeback, I have to say. I did like also how Lily tried to defend Billy to Jill. Lily did try to fight for Billy's value at the company because, what has happened here at Chancecom is a little bit different than Billy gambling away the company funds. It wasn't exactly that. Adam and Victor did set an elaborate trap for him. And look, Lily was right there with him all along the way. Lily admitted to Jill that they made joint decisions which got them into this mess. And that's true. Their decisions were joint. I mean, Lily definitely kept Billy on a leash, but she did not put her foot down, and she could have. She could have stopped the whole thing, and he would have listened to her. But Lily was there joining in the reindeer games as much as possible. In fact, I'm pretty sure there were more than a few stolen kisses and hot sex scenes over all of this. Lily was not in the dark about all of this, but Jill was. And Jill told Lily, hey, this is killing me. Billy is my son, and he has made some great strides, but the fact is he takes too big a risks in business. Jill tried to give Billy a chance to succeed. Chancecom was his chance. I think that Billy's position here got a whole lot more interesting by bringing his mother into the mix, because it takes Billy from one-dimensional, lovable screw-up to the fully realized human being with hopes and dreams and a future and a past. Billy explained to Jill, the path that he traveled to get here, that it just wasn't from A to Z. There was a process. A trap was set for him. Victor and Adam seemed to be on his side for 1 minute in wanting to expose Ashlyn Locke, but then they flipped on him. They created some, in quotes, false evidence, and they set him up to take the fall. There's a little bit of a difference between falling on your own and being set up to take the fall. There were other factors there. And Billy explained to Jill that part of his motivation was about the kids. I mean, AKA, the Loch Ness Monster's living with my kids. I gotta do something about it. Ashlyn Locke, the Loch Ness Monster, is living with Johnny and Katie. I am not going to lose another child. Wow. I mean, that moment was arguably the best moment of the week. I mean, that was incredible. To see that guilt bubble up and over, just slightly. I mean, he didn't dwell on it. He didn't want to spend too much time talking about that. He didn't want to talk about it further. But it was a hint about what his real motivation was about all along. About Delia. About what happened that night. About Adam. Adam couldn't be more pleased with this outcome. Adam sees this as Billy getting nothing more than exactly what he deserved, and exactly what Billy has dished to him on more than one occasion. For Victor and Adam, I think now they just need to decide, is it enough to just wound Billy? Or how much effort do they want to put into moving in for the complete kill? And maybe therein will lie a trap being set for them. Adam showed up at the Chancellor mansion to try to make a deal with Jill to buy Chancecom, but Jill wasn't having it. She's just sent him right back out the front door almost as quickly as he walked through it. And side note, I gotta tell ya, I got a real kick out of Jill talking to Catherine's portrait this week. Second Adam left, she looked up at Catherine and said, "Can you believe that guy?" That was great. I'm such a sucker for that. Just thinking about our legacy characters, I mean, let alone seeing them together, just hit all the right spots. And Jill and Victor also shared a scene this week that I liked. Jill was somewhat defending Billy to Victor and, acknowledging that her son had messed up, but, she was also holding Victor accountable for the fact that he made sure that Billy messed up. And all I could think about the whole time was that scene that we saw during the COVID classics of Jill in Victor's penthouse, and I think he was telling her to go ahead and get comfortable. Take off your shoes. There was just something so sensual about him telling her to just take off your shoes. Oh, that was so Bill Bell, I realized in retrospect. But Jill's got some work ahead of her. She's got to come up with a plan to take this all out of the nosedive that it's in and somehow turn things around for herself, for the company, and for everyone. So Jill's plan is to sell Chancecom to the highest bidder. Who will it be? Newman Media? Newman Locke? Or I don't know, next week we saw in the previews that Billy is trying to partner up with Jack to buy Chancecom from Jill. I don't think it's gonna happen, though. I mean, I don't know. I could see Phyllis maybe getting in there and trying to encourage Jack to go for it, because she seems to be Team Billy right now, but that might be hitting too sore of a spot for Jack, given how their relationship ended last time, and then they're on the cusp of a new relationship. But I think Jack's gonna turn him down. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Jack is gonna shut Billy down, maybe give him another lecture, and I think that is going to further fuel Billy's isolation, desperation, determination, right? I mean, I don't know. Something's gonna pop. On Friday, Adam was commenting to Sally about, the way he sees how this all went down. I mean, maybe maybe he'll be able to buy Chancecom, maybe not, but Billy loses either way. And that's what's important. Either way, no matter if he gets the Chancecom bid, Billy loses. And I kind of wonder if Sally took note of that and didn't like it. Adam also told Sally to go back to her day job and stop asking so many questions. So, and then we saw at the very end of Friday's show, Sally running into Billy. We also saw in the previews that Adam is, or Sally was sort of intimating that Adam might ask her to spy for Billy. But I almost wonder if Sally might end up becoming an unexpected ally for Billy. And maybe Sally will play a role in whatever trap Billy is going to set for Adam. But either way, Billy Abbott is a ticking time bomb, and it is fascinating to watch. Victor and Billy sitting at the bar, having a frank conversation about their relationship. That might have been one of the best scenes of the year. Not gonna lie, that scene, that conversation was fresh. And here's why. It was two characters that we see interacting all the time for the plot. But this was different. They talked. They communicated. They actually dug in, asked questions, gave answers. Why do you hate me so much? Billy asks. Why me? Why me? And Victor says, I worked for everything I have. So I hate people like you who were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Entitled. Born on third base, thinking you hit a triple. And there you have it. I mean, there you have it. There's the impasse. And this was great because there was no resolution. There was no attempt on either of their parts to make a truce. It was just a stark reminder about why the dynamic is what it is. It was needed. These are just two very different and very stubborn personalities that do not gel. Each seeing the other as more of a stereotype than a person, right? Victor looks at Billy and all he sees is another rich punk. just like Jack. And when Billy looks at Victor, all he sees is a bully. Self-righteous, never making a mistake. Oh no. So, I mean, we've got both guys stuck in their own ways. They're both kind of perpetuating their own problem in their own ways, because the problem is not really even so much about the relationship that they have. It's kind of about each guy having something to prove and using the other one to do it. Just knowing the way that Victor still feels about Billy, has always felt about Billy. Can you imagine how much it galls him still to this day to know that his beloved daughter, his namesake, chose to marry Billy, chose to intertwine her life with Billy, to have children with him? And no matter how hard Billy tries, he can never really get rid of him. So let's talk about Billy and Victoria, because Adam got word from inside Newman Lock that Ashland and Victoria had made a bid for Chancecom. He was none too happy about it, and he was none too happy about the fact that Ashland double-crossed them. Victor seemed to have a more sort of sportsmanlike attitude about the whole thing. Business is business. I don't know. I don't know when he developed that, because business seems to always to be somewhat personal with him too. But Victor seemed maybe even a little impressed that Victoria was trying to right a wrong. He thinks he shouldn't have sold that division. She shouldn't have sold that division in the first place, and now she's trying to correct her mistake. So Victor seems to have more of a laid-back attitude about it. But Adam implied to Victor and also to Victoria and Ashland that Victoria's actions here, wanting to buy Chancecom, are really more motivated by her trying to protect Billy. Do you think that's true? Do you think Victoria is trying to protect Billy by trying to buy Chancecom? Because I don't see it that way. I see Victoria caring about Billy, and I see Billy caring about Victoria. But Victoria is not protecting Billy by wanting to buy Chancecom. I think Victoria is trying to buy Chancecom to satisfy her own ego. And if it has a side benefit of doing something altruistic for someone else, then hooray! I think it's the exact same situation as when Billy was claiming that he was protecting Victoria by exposing Ashland. I think Billy was trying to expose Ashland and Victor and Adam to satisfy his own ego. And if it had a side benefit of doing something altruistic for somebody else, then hooray! I think I finally picked a Who Said It quote that stumped the majority of Y&R chatters. Sometimes the past can become the present. Pretty simple statement. Who would have thought? Ashley said it! Came from Ashley's lips. Sometimes the past can become the present. She was saying this to Jack in Phyllis's dream, talking about their reunion. You know, sometimes the past can become the present, although I think she was talking about Gloria. Just teasing us. Yeah, so surprisingly, just Daisy, Henry, Juanita, Sue W, and Sharita were the only ones that got it right. Congratulations, you guys. Only 5 people. Well done. Well, let's see about this little line. Who said it? I know genius when I see it. I know genius when I see it. Who said it? If you think you know, go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Oh, let's keep talking about Ashland here, because Diana says Billy mentioned the video that Jesse Gaines sent him that contained the letter from Camilla Rhodes detailing Ashland's crimes. I'm so sorry to bring this matter up again. I know I mentioned it here last week, but I can't help but being curious as to whether we'll ever find out what these crimes are. Is the crime that Ashland took his friend's identity? If so, there has to be more than that because Jesse implied there was a list of crimes. I feel this question is important because the crimes Camilla had apparently listed must be crimes no one knows about. I say this because the only other crime I know of is the forged will, which didn't happen until after Camilla wrote the will. Camilla said she didn't leave anything to Ashland because she felt as though he could do well on his own. But this leads me back to the same question of what Ashland did and what Ashland did that Jesse said was on the list of crimes. Did Y&R plan on giving us a twist with this video revelation of crimes and then decided to have Billy delete it because they wanted to go in a different direction and not have Ashland be the bad guy? Yeah, Diana, I don't know. It makes my head spin to think about all of that. I'm not exactly sure. I imagine that, I suppose if he, falsified his identity and then forged the will, I suppose it could be a list with 2 things on it. I guess those are the things. But you do bring up a good question. Is there something more that we don't know about? Is there something more that Jesse Gaines knows that we haven't been told yet that could possibly blow this whole thing wide open? I lean toward thinking no. I lean toward thinking that Jesse has told us everything he's going to tell us. The only thing left that he needs to do is tell the world that he lied about it all. That's my guess. I think that's going to be Billy's ace in the hole at the end of all of this. I think we saw a lot of regret in Jesse Gaines's body language that he was lying about the story that was true, that he decided to sell out right at the very end and not expose Ashland Locke, which was what I think his heart wanted to do. It seems to be his life's ambition at the end there, to go ahead and expose Ashland Locke, and then he changed his mind for the payout. I think that bothers him, and I think he's going to come back to right that and vindicate Billy eventually. And maybe that will lead somehow to Ashland being exposed and written off the show. Or, we don't know. We really haven't seen a whole lot of Ashland's illness and where he is on his treatments. We've been told little things here and there. But we need to get back to Ashland. Adam confronted him this week, and he was just very casual about the whole thing. And that's mostly all we saw from him. But I think we need to dig in and find out what more there is, and maybe we'll do that next week. Daisy says, I don't know any business that would allow employees to waltz into their boss's office asking about a personal phone call and still be employed. Sally should have been fired a while ago. But Sally being allowed to act like she owns the place makes me wonder if she'll be teaming up with Billy to try and take down Adam. Why? Well, when Chelsea returns, Sally may notice that Adam is still in love with her, and Sally will convince herself that she's been betrayed and seek a remedy. Enter vindictive Billy to help Sally seek revenge. I think so too, Daisy. I think it's real obvious to think that Sally, she's a go-between. She's been, as you say, she's been plopped into this story for what reason, I don't know. She's been busybodying up, listening outside the door, so she has to play a role here. And just based on that, the very end of Friday's show, the preview for next week, it seems like she might be playing an important role in whatever Billy's comeback is gonna be. And I think you're right. I think she's gonna end up teaming up with Billy. It's gonna not look like she would do that because we know she has feelings for Adam and all that. But I think there's gonna be a twist there, and I just wonder if Sally's gonna end up on Team Billy at the end of all of this. Team Billy's plan. And Superplex says, what kind of plan is that? Billy going back to the same well as before? It's akin to that, shibboleth. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Only this time, it's fool me thrice. Not to mention the fact that revealing Ashland's skeleton in his closet invariably damages the reputation of Victoria. Not that that is a bad thing, but this dunce wanted to avoid that. Yeah, Billy's plan to get revenge on Adam is not new. It is more continuation of the same plan. Or revenge on the Newmans, yeah. But it's also interesting to consider where Victoria is going to fall on this, because we do see Victoria softening at Billy. I don't think she's doing anything necessarily to save Billy, but she cares about Billy, and it'll be interesting to see whatever Billy's plan is moving forward, what that does to his relationship with her, especially now that the kids are out of the way. TB84 says, Billy, throw your obsession about Adam and Victor to the trash and go your own way. Just forgetting about them. Move on. And I hope he will this time. Well, what fun would that be? There's no way Billy's gonna forget it. He's gonna be on a tear more than ever. He feels humiliated. Once again, his ego is at stake here. He is absolutely gonna come at them in some way. It's just a matter of whether or not he'll be successful. Ellen says he's an idiot. Quote of the week. Yeah, Victor said he's an idiot. Way to lay it straight, Victor. Naomi, though, says, Billy can draw me in every time. I'm looking forward to future episodes again. He's a flawed person, and I understand his motivations most of the time. And Leslie confirms, Billy just melts my heart. I just want to make him feel all better. Oh, Leslie, you just want to make Billy feel all better. See, that's the essence of Billy, isn't it? He messes up, and then he makes you feel bad for him, even though it's his fault. He did it, and he's making you feel bad about the fact that he messed up. But it's a trap. Don't do it, Leslie. Don't do it. Don't try to get in there and make Billy all better. I'm not going to lie to you, Leslie. The sex is going to be good. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be the best sex of your life. But you will be left devastated in the end. Oh, I tell you, this is where I think the show gets good. I like being able to dig into these psyches. This is just, I don't know, maybe it's just where I like to reside. But the fact that we have these characters that are so complex and so dynamic, and they do the wrong things, darn it. You know, they're constantly making mistakes. I mean, that's where I really, really like where the show is. That's kind of my sweet spot with it. Because, I mean, very, very divisive still, Adam versus Billy. I mean, there are definitely people who really dig into Billy and who he is and empathize with him and understand him, and the same with Adam, and they're on two opposite sides of the fence, and it's just sort of, I guess, you know, where you land. Ellen says Billy deserves whatever consequences come his way. He and Chloe have tortured Adam for a decade plus over a tragic accident. Billy writes that hit piece on Adam as his top priority when he launches Chancecom. Well, what if Adam wrote a piece all about Chloe and Billy's murder attempts? Billy's gambling and the associated fallout, or Billy sleeping with his girlfriend's young daughter. Billy likes to pretend that he's a good guy. Well, let's see some character development here instead of Billy just continuing to be this way. Freshen up the character. Let him turn his talents and interests in a new direction. Instead it just looks like they're doubling down on the feud with the Newmans. And that's not going to be fun for the new year. Boo! Boo! Says Ellen. You know, it's funny because I liked the way that, even though everybody agrees Billy messed up and he takes too much bigger risks in business, Jill and Lily were lauding Billy's genius in business. And I think, you know, you're mentioning Billy needing a new direction. That could very well be it. I mean, wouldn't it be interesting to see Billy really forging something new and just really being innovative and showing the viewers that genius? And that's what Chancecom was supposed to be. And yet, you're right. We're right back to the beginning of it at all. It always goes back to Billy versus Adam. And yeah, it does seem a little bit like a broken record at times, but hopefully they'll have some sort of new spin on it. I mean, I don't know. I guess we're just gotta go along for the ride, I suppose. Oh, Sherrod says, at first I was upset with my guy Billy for the Adam expose, because at the time Adam was trying to be better. But now that he's taken that turn back to the same old Adam and reveling in I want revenge, like he was going after his own like when he was going after his own father and now Billy, all bets are off, says Sherrod. Also, even though Adam hitting Delia was an accident, he tried to cover it up. That's where I think the anger for Billy and Chloe may really come from, and Adam never served any jail time for the kid's death, thanks to Victor. For me, Adam will never earn the right to best Billy. He killed his daughter. Victor states that he hates Billy, and if anybody should be feeling hate toward someone, it should be Billy toward the Newmans. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, everything is just always going to come back to Delia's death, isn't it? Yeah, it really is. Well, Victoria, this is a good sort of middle ground on this argument. Victoria says neither Billy or Adam is perfect by any stretch. That's why we love to watch them. The difference for me is Adam willing to admit his worst tendencies and actions. Billy, on the other hand, wants to blame others. Also, when he shows some self-realization, Billy generally follows it up with a but. For example, today he wanted Lily to get the accolades she desired, and then he was going to exact his revenge. In contrast, Adam suggested to Victor, now that Billy has been embarrassed and released from Chancecom, shouldn't they back off? Yeah, I don't know, I guess I was getting more vibes from Adam that he wanted to move forward. Don't you think we're seeing that little twist on Adam? A little bit. I think they're bringing back Adam kind of wanting to stick it to Billy. Because definitely Adam has been on his, better man journey, and it's been wonderful and great, and we're getting just so much awesome Adam. But I did sense a little bit this week that it was starting to turn. And some of the things he was saying, I was like, yeah, let's stick it to him. And he has a right to, I would too. This guy. So there is a little bit of a turn there happening, which maybe is just Y&R cranking it up on both characters, just turning up that dial for both characters, because they're building toward a really intense clash. I think that might be the case. And it's interesting to watch, I mean, as Victoria says, neither's perfect. I mean, we can argue, list out all the bad things Adam's done, list out all the bad things Billy done. Neither of them is perfect, but that is what makes it interesting to watch, isn't it? I think you're right, though, that there does seem to be, Billy has an ego on him, and it's oddly the thing that makes him appealing, but also makes him unappealing, and that right there is where that sweet spot is for character. But yeah, I think you make a good point that both guys are imperfect, but it does seem that Adam, so far, I mean, unless the writers kind of twist that, Adam does have that humility about him. Again, as I said a couple weeks ago, you get the sense Adam hates himself deep down. I mean, everybody's happy to tell him they hate him, and I think he doesn't know whose word to take. He knows he's not a bad person, but everybody's telling him he's a bad person. So I think Adam doesn't quite know what to do with himself. Whereas Billy, I do think, he probably hates himself deep down too. But he don't want to let anybody show it, or he doesn't want to let anybody see it. And that's why that moment where we just saw that bubbling up and over of him saying, "I'm not going to lose another child," I mean, that's why that moment was so significant. Because Billy will hide his self-hatred beneath the ego, beneath the bluster, beneath the cloud of arrogance. He'll hide it. And then we just got that little bit bubbling up this week of maybe he does hate himself. And maybe he was admitting in that moment that his motivation isn't about Victoria and it isn't about the kids. It's about Delia and the fact that Adam killed her. Boom. And, as far as Victor, I think it's about ego on Victor's point, too, as to why he feels the way he does about Adam. Gary says, Victor starting with the poor me, I grew up in an orphanage crap is a mistake at this point. Let me say this simply and quickly. Being born with a silver spoon in your mouth is an accident of birth and nobody's fault. How about that? I mean, that's almost like so progressive of you, Gary. Being, whatever your birth situation is, it's not your fault. It's real easy to look at Billy and say, well, he's a rich kid, so yeah. But that in and of itself is not the problem. As you point out, Gary, Victor kind of went on to say it's what you do with it that really matters. But I think that's an interesting point that needed to be made. Well done. Ellen says, Victor's own children were born on third base, except Adam, who earned his way. And I think it's more about whether people recognize and appreciate their advantages in life. He sees Billy as someone who takes it all for granted, expects constant second chances, and most importantly, treated his precious daughter badly on many occasions. He will never have any use for Billy Boy. Oh, that's good. It's about whether or not people recognize and appreciate their advantages. That is so true. And I think you're right, too, that just so much about, and maybe Victor doesn't really want to admit this, but so much about why he hates Billy probably does just have to do with Victoria. He probably always didn't like him. It's the same reason he didn't like Jack, but deep down, it's probably Victor's ego, right? It's up out of, how could he do this to my daughter, my namesake, and I don't want my daughter around him. I'd want to prove that my type of guy is better than his type of guy. Well, Sherrod says it's not like Victor was a saint in his marriages. In my opinion, Victor is less than Billy on how he treats people. I will take lovable screw-up Billy Abbott any day over that evil, I need to control and destroy anyone and everything that does not bow down to my will, Victor Newman. Yeah, see, that's why I thought that poll was so interesting a couple of weeks ago. And still, Victor won that poll. But this is a good point. Really, if we are stacking it all up, has Billy done anything near all of the things that Victor has done? I think not. But if you've been around, if you're a soap character for long enough, you'll get your list of dirty deeds. Well, Sue W. says, I think Billy sleeping with Summer was one of the more atrocious things he's done. Yeah, everybody goes back to Billy and his screw up and all of the, the sort of the bad things that he's done. But you might be right, Sue W., that really probably sleeping with Summer tops the list. It really does. Well, Jamie says, Billy Boy is loaded. If I were in his position, I would fully embrace a life of leisure and mischief as my new and permanent career. He could still ruffle feathers and cause a ruckus, and heck, with no pesky job in the way, he's free to scheme all day long. Yeah, can you imagine having all the money in the world, like all the cash at your fingertips that you could possibly need, and still feeling like you wanted to have a job? I don't know. I guess you could. I suppose it's possible. Again, it's just like what Gary said. It's real. It's your what is in your bank account at birth is not really your fault. I suppose Billy is looking for something more in his career, that's sort of a self-identity. Maybe he's kind of looking for an identity in his career. And like he said, my only expertise is cosmetics or media, and there's not a place for me at Chancellor Industries. That's why, with either of those things, which is why he turned down the job. I think Billy's yearning for a way to find and enact his own identity. But yeah, I'd take the money too. I guess I would get bored after a while though, right? Just chilling and living the life of leisure. But Billy seems like the kind of guy that could occupy himself. But then again, Billy's the kind of guy that probably shouldn't be left alone to occupy himself. He's got Lily, though, to help him. Daisy says, Lily's hatred and anger set the stage for Hillary's death, which hurt Devon deeply. You would have thought she'd have learned her lesson by now, that focusing on someone you can't stand could end up hurting yourself and those you love. But she sticks by Billy as if he'll change, knowing that this is who he has been and who he is now. Lily is not paying attention to that. She makes excuses for him. Daisy! Oh my gosh, Lily's hatred and anger set the stage for Hillary's death? You would think she'd have learned by now that focusing on someone you can't stand could end up hurting yourself and those you love. Yep, and yet Lily makes excuses for him. She tells him, okay. Ooh, I can't even top that. I'll leave that be. Sharita says, I wish Lily and Nick could somehow fall in love. She needs a nice guy who isn't a narcissist. Lily's downfall is that she almost always leads with her emotions. Yeah, that's true. She almost always leads with her emotions. I'm not sure that makes her CEO material. Leslie says, now, Lily is CEO material. Wow. Now Lily is CEO material. Wow. So what do we think about that decision, chatters? What do you think about Jill's decision to appoint Lily, of all people, to the CEO position? I mean, I guess it's easy to say, well, what qualifications does she really have? She, I mean, she was mostly a model, I think. I don't know that I'm not sure what her formal education was, but she was a model. I think she did some spokesperson type work. I mean, I think it would be too small to say she was just a model. I do think she did some envoy, work for the companies. But then, she worked with Devon, right? She worked at Hamilton Winters for a while. I think that was running a modeling agency, I want to say. And then, she got convicted and she served jail time. She came back. Chancecom was supposed to be her comeback. She, arguably probably was not qualified to be a co-CEO, right, fresh off the prison train, but here she is now, total CEO, single CEO, one and only CEO. Do you like that decision? Do you think it's earned? I mean, it's no different than a lot of these other characters who just get their CEO position. I suppose I felt sort of touched by the fact that it's something that Neil would be proud of. They got me in the heart when they went on about how Neil would be proud of her and how, he raised her well. I think Jill said that, he trained you well, he raised you well. Lily would have seen Neil working her entire life. I mean, certainly, I don't know if that necessarily qualifies you to run an entire huge, Chancellor Industries is big, right? That's a big company. I don't know that would necessarily qualify her to do it, but I guess you're qualified until you screw it up. And who knows, someone else will probably be in that Chancellor Industries CEO position eventually anyway. I would have thought maybe someone like Chance would have been a good CEO, but he's probably not ready for that yet. Maybe Lily's just holding on to the ropes until we can hand it over to Chance and it could be his namesake. Chancecom, why did Y&R decide to get rid of that? They just decided we're not doing Chancecom anymore. We're going to sell it to either Newman Media or Newman Locke, and we're just going to let the competition be between those two companies. And if that's the case, then what really good is Chancellor Industries going to do? Maybe they just want to use that to have a third company. Who knows? Maybe someone like Sally could go work there. I don't know, but having only Lily at Chancellor Industries isn't very exciting, and then Chancecom gets broken up and sold to somebody else. I don't know where they're going with the businesses here, but I'd be curious to know if you guys think it was a good decision to make Lily in charge. Superplex says, I don't know what fans see in Jill. To a neophyte, she appears to be a bitter old wench. Well, Sherrod says, lucky for me and other viewers, we are not neophytes. Jill is the only original character left that started on Y&R. And as much as I didn't like how she recently treated her son Billy, I've loved this character from day one when I first saw her back in 1978. Of course, that was Brenda Dixon, but I like Jess Walton, too. And Sue W. says, I'm with you. It's hard to always like Jill, but I'm always entertained by her and whatever she's getting into or out of. I, too, really like Jess Walton and think she plays the usually abrasive but good-hearted Jill perfectly. She's scrappy, she's savvy, just as she was from the get-go. Yeah, I could see there's something kind of harsh about Jill. I see that. She, as you say, what did you call it? Abrasive. Oh, that's a nice word. Abrasive. But she is good-hearted. And I think Jill's abrasiveness is nicely balanced by the fact that when she does have her tender moments, oh, they are tender. Seeing someone who usually feels the need to be tough. I mean, Jill is someone who worked her way up from, just doing nails. She everything she has, Jill did earn, well, sometimes through marriage, but boy, she fought hard for it. And so someone who feels the need to be abrasive, feels the need to be tough, seeing them break is what kind of balances it and really connects you in with that character. And maybe Billy's sort of similar. Maybe Billy feels the need to be tough. And so when you see him break, it hurts. Oh boy, well, I tell you, let's switch over to a totally different topic. Let's talk about Phyllis's approval rating. You want to hear it? Are you ready for it? Phyllis's approval rating is 59%. Honestly, that's kind of low. I'm not going to lie. 59% of you right now approve of Phyllis. 41% of you disapprove. I mean, 41 is still a pretty good chunk of people. But I gave Phyllis my approval rating, and Jamie did as well, saying, my girl Phyllis is overflowing with pure soapy goodness. She's an intriguing, multi-layered character, and I love tuning in to see her. Sue W. says, all Phyllis all the time. As far as I'm concerned, I enjoy every episode she's in. Can't be too many for me, even when her character is often grating, overblown, obnoxious, and or weirdly out of place. I just love watching Michelle Stafford do her thing. Yeah, do her thing. Keisha says, watching Michelle Stafford has reminded me of her TV show made for YouTube years ago called The Stafford Project. She is amazing at comedy. These episodes are still on YouTube, and there are some Y&R co-stars. Yeah, I do remember seeing a little bit of that, but it was in the time where I was like, I can't on Michelle Stafford. I just can't. I can't. Gosh, I wish I could put my finger on what changed. Southside Granny says, I like Phyllis. She seems to be caught up in a crossroad. I was married to a Nick once. It was a relief to finally get away and find a new life. Phyllis will persevere and pull it all together. Hashtag Team Phyllis. Ooh, Southside Granny! I was married to a Nick once. Yes! Oh, that's the kind of juicy behind-the-scenes Y&R Chat dirt that I want more of. Oh, that's good. Well, Sharita says, honestly, I feel like Phyllis, as of late, has no real storyline. She's picking at old scraps and grudges, falling for old loves, and it's just dull to watch. She overreacts most of her scene partners, and I just want her to have a better story than Do I Still Love Jack and meddling in other people's business. Oh, Sharita, that's the same mistake they made with Phyllis in the past. I think they put her in too much scrappy storylines and she did not have a focused story of her own. I really do think that Michelle Stafford is so versatile. They do just toss her in a scene. I mean, it's somebody else's story. Phyllis doesn't have any business being up of it, and they just toss her in there and say go. And a lot of times it's gold. I'm not gonna lie, it works for me, but I totally see the argument as to why it wouldn't work for other people. Ellen says, I used to be a big Phyllis fan, but the character has been tough to endure since Michelle's return. They are writing her as an immature, obnoxious, self-centered whiner. The my daughter storyline was particularly grating, as if Summer were a kindergartner in need of her mommy. I wish we would see some real character growth coming out of Phyllis's time with Golden Glow. Somehow I doubt that will happen. The writers seem to think loud, me, Phyllis is somehow charming. For me, it's a big turnoff and a huge step backward from Gina Tognoni's version of Phyllis. What happened to those writers? Yeah, I can see how Phyllis maybe being so jokey can come off as immature. I think that is exactly what it is. I think to a lot of viewers, she's just coming off as immature. Me. That's a great point. A great way to put it. Marianne V voted disapprove of Phyllis because they're getting carried away with Phyllis's constant whining and manipulations. I think Michelle is a great actress, but give her something important to do and to say. Maybe it's because the show doesn't do comedy very well. I think they've had trouble with it in the past. And maybe they're leaning on that side or that talent of Michelle Stafford's so much because it's just all they got. It's the only way they can really bring some comedy to the show if they're just not good at incorporating it in other ways. And it's not a comedy show. But maybe that's their way of just letting her be a lighthearted, or I guess it's not really even lighthearted, but they're just trying to let her be a funny kind of character and leaving the drama to the other actors. But I think you're right. She's totally capable of doing more than that. And she hasn't really had anything to sink her teeth into since Michelle Stafford has taken over the role not that long ago. She hasn't had a good story to sink her teeth into in a while. And for my part, I do think that the Phyllis realizing that she still has feelings for Jack thing comes off as immature. And that's what bothers me about it. Tee-hee-hee. Do I love Jack? Tee-hee-hee. Yeah, it's immature. I think that they would probably do well to boost Phyllis's approval rating by giving her her own story that is more mature. Yes. Well, we're getting some good things on the show right now with our legacy characters. Sue W. says, I've loved having Ashley back on the show. I suppose it's probably short term again, but gosh, it'd be great to have her permanently back in the Genoa City dramas. She's been a favorite of mine for so long and in so many gripping storylines, along with some silly ones like Ravi. I love Eileen Davidson. I'm sending goo-goo hands heart. We haven't really talked about this because, it's like, I assume Ashley's back for an episode or two. But no, she's been here for weeks now, and it's been really nice. I agree with you. I think Eileen Davidson is wonderful. I miss her and Dr. Neville. I just love the guy who played him. I can't think of what his name was. Was he on General Hospital? No, he was on he was on Another World. All My Children, right? I just thought he was super sexy, not gonna lie. I just think he played Tad or some kind of Tad, whatever. I don't think he's hot. He's hot. I would like for them to bring him back to be with Ashley. But yeah, Ashley is so stunningly gorgeous, and she just has such a sophistication about her, and she's core to the show. It's been nice seeing her. Oh, Diana says, I wonder what Nikki would think if she knew Victor called Ashley sweetheart. Maybe it's not a big deal, but knowing Nikki as I do, I think she would be jealous. Ashley is Victor's ex-lover, and they share a child together that I'm also sure bothers Nikki deep down. Abby is a symbol of Victor's love for Ashley, just as Adam is a symbol of Victor's love for Hope. I also wonder if calling Ashley sweetheart is in the script, or if that's Eric Braden's own words. I sometimes think Eric Braden adds his own words in sometimes because they come naturally when he's talking to a woman who's younger than himself. If it's an older woman, he probably says, my dear. Victor is a charmer. Yeah, he probably does ad-lib that. But you're also right that Nikki probably sees Abby and sees that connection that Victor and Ashley have. And right now, that's being pumped up quite a bit. Right now, Victor and Ashley are definitely sharing a lot of scenes together. Is that bothering Nikki? I mean, if it is, she hasn't said anything about it. But you never know. Maybe that could be coming next week. Oh, let's see. Well, T. Nicole says, thank God Abby called Ashley, because Ashley and Jack were not going to find Abby on that private jet. They searched every nook and cranny in that plane, and no Abby. Yeah, Tina Cole, that's so funny. I mean, they did. All the searching they did happened just off the jet, just off screen. But I'm okay with it. That jet set is fine with me. It's so beige in there. It's so beigey, golden, light brown, golden beige. I love it. I want my house. That's what my kind of my living room colorscape is, very beige and very light, sort of brown. It all comes back to the brown for me. I'm like, I love being in this plane. It's so brown. It's so brown in here. Oh, goodness. That is funny, though. Well, let's talk about Abby. Diana says, I understand that Abby's trying to be sympathetic towards Chance and all he's gone through. But at the same time, I don't know how Abby can refrain from reminding Chance about the conversation that they once had when he told her he was done with his previous life of danger and just wanted to be with her. Y&R conveniently never has Abby bring up this fact to anyone, including Chance. I don't think it's very realistic that Abby was so happy-go-lucky after Chance just up and left one day without a word. Abby and Chance were newlyweds. I would be furious if I were Abby, and as I think anyone who was put in her position would be. Man, Diana, that's a great point. We had better see that full reaction from Abby. I mean, Jill had a little bit of it. She was like, well, wait a minute, I'm mad too. Abby needs to have that. I mean, if we really want to dig into Abby and her character and her process and everything she's been through, she needs to have that conversation with him. And it's only been 1 week, so maybe she will have it. But that is a phenomenal point, that Abby should have a little bit of resentment toward him. I think you're right that she is trying to dance around it. She doesn't, want to push any buttons. It's kind of obvious. I mean, even the medic told her, like, Chance is still kind of dealing with some stuff. So I think Abby's afraid to push him and push any of his psychological buttons that might make him uncomfortable. I think Abby's trying to not be me about the whole thing, but she needs to have at least an aside with somebody else about it then, because we need Abby and her process to be believable too. She's been through it. She lost her husband. Not only he walked out on her, left her to go through, everything with the baby, told her, go ahead, have the baby. That's what she did. And then she, thought he was dead, and she's been through that. I mean, for crying out loud, the baby got kidnapped with Mariah. Like, so much has happened to Abby, and she needs to at least have some exposition with someone else to talk about it if she can't talk about it with Chance. But how much you want to bet that there is going to be some of that drama at the welcome home party where there's some sort of danger? I don't know. That's just where my head automatically goes. Abby and Chance fell in love at the Grand Phoenix Hotel, where, remember, he dropped through the ceiling to save her. That was sort of the beginning of their romance. It was the standoff with, the guy who was threatening Chelsea, and Chance dropped through the ceiling to save the day. And I just wonder if we're going to end up right back at the Grand Phoenix Hotel at this welcome home party, and there's going to be some kind of new danger, bringing that a little bit full circle, and also putting Abby and Dominic into danger, which might fuel a potential custody situation. Because as it is right now, Devon just handed back over the baby, but there's got to be some other trigger that happens that makes Devon maybe take that back and think, well, I changed my mind. Well, Gary says, I just want to point out what Y&R didn't do. They didn't pronounce Chance dead and then have Abby build a new life elsewhere. And then Chance walks back in on that classic soap opera fashion. They quickly dealt with the presumed dead issue in the moment and solved it. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it does sort of take us back to when we were all theorizing Chance coming back. It would have made sense, and it would have been a very classic move for Y&R to have had Abby move on with Devon or somebody else, and then bring Chance back into the mix, and then, flesh out that emotional onion. But they didn't do that. They brought him back. They brought him back. I mean, they dealt with the presumed dead thing quickly, which on all accounts they've kind of dealt with the presumed dead thing quickly. Well, here's another thing that Y&R did not do. Gary says, why didn't Devon converse with the loaf of bread as he was packing him up, and then at the end of the episode bring in the real live Dominic down the stairs and into the arms for Chance for the real Y&R magic moment? Hard to fathom how they blew it. Yeah, the first one to look into the real live face of Dominic Chancellor should be Chancellor upon his return home, Gary says. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That did not even occur to me. Right up at the top of the Friday episode, it was real baby. And that's all I could think. That's all I could say is, oh, thank goodness I could stop getting all these comments about the fake baby. We can stop making our bread loaf jokes. Yes, we just got that real baby. But this is a good point, Gary, that, wow, they should have delayed that a little bit. Instead of letting Devon pick up the baby and have that moment, they could have let Chance be the first one to experience the new baby. But I think maybe that's strategic. I think if Y&R was going to show a bond with a real human father and a real human baby, they wanted it to be with Devon. I think Y&R wanted us to see Devon holding that baby, how cute they look together, because they want to further that drama. They want us to understand Devon's bond and what's going to potentially fuel a custody lawsuit. And Sherrod says, well, technically, Devon is the biological father, so he was the first one who held the new baby. I see that custody battle on the way. Devon was not looking happy hearing Chance say, my big boy, to Dominic. And now he's getting a taste of what Mariah was feeling. Yeah, Sherrod, exactly. Devon's getting the taste of what Mariah was feeling, having to hand over that baby and knowing you're not the only one. I mean, hey, up until Chance came back, Devon kind of was the only father in the picture. And now that Chance is back, we got two fathers and two mothers. Oh, all of that in quotes. Air quotes all over the place for this baby. Well, in advance, let's talk about this new Chance. Leslie says, new Chance reminds me of Cole Howard. Ah, I see it! Leslie, I see it! He does look like young baby face Cole Howard. Oh, that's a good draw. And, you know, you also just touches all my soft spots when it's like, oh, I remember Cole. Well, Naomi says, new Chance seems too young for Abby. Ooh, Naomi, you're right. Like, I'm not gonna lie. That was my first thought, too. Like, this guy's too young. But then again, I said that about Adam, this casting of Adam. I thought Mark Grossman looked way too young to be Adam. But then he kind of grew on me and all that sort of faded into the background. So maybe that's what will happen with new Chance, too. He sure does look awfully young, though. Oh... Henry says, well, I realize that Chance may be a bit wounded, but realistically, upon seeing his hot wife after all this time, his first move should have been to take her by the hand and go do the nasty. However, I'm sure we'll get an episode devoted to their getting reacquainted. Of course we will. It's a soap. Yeah, maybe Chance is just too wounded to think about sex with his wife after all this time. What if he was secretly having sex with the medic? No, too wounded. Yeah, Abby had to coax him to go off to the other room to lie down together. He was getting a little, he wasn't going along with what, the plan to get back to Genoa City was. And so she said, maybe you need a nap. Why don't we just go lie down for a little while? She led him off to the bedroom, and who knows, maybe they secretly did the nasty there. But no, you're more right that Y&R's going to want to show us that nasty if he's not too wounded in a couple of weeks. Well, Sharita says, Chance was really irritating me with being all about the mission. Although he's coming home, I have a sinking feeling that regular domestic life won't be enough for him. I predict the need to protect and serve being the demise of his marriage at some point. Abby may have won this battle, but the war isn't over. Exactly, Sharita. Exactly. I think either he's going to find out that that couple is dead, and that the bad guys have killed him, and he got, Abby probing around trying to find him, ended up getting his friends killed. Or I think something's going to happen at that welcome home party. The danger did not go away. We have been overly reassured that the danger went away, and so therefore the danger will not go away. And I think you're right that it's going to end up causing a problem for him and Abby and their marriage, on top of the other problems that are sort of brewing there beneath the surface. Naomi says Chance's storyline makes no sense. I hope we don't see a damaged Chance struggling back to normal life. My idea of his character is that this guy's made of tougher stuff. A hot shower and a good meal at society, and he should be good as new. Yeah, it's true. Hot shower, meal at society, good as new. Well, speaking of society, Lori says, it's a little observation, but why does the bar at Society keep their garnishes, the cherry, the pineapple, the lemon, the lime, the orange slices, in a big glass bowl on the bar where patrons are hanging right over the bowls, talking, laughing, potentially sneezing and coughing? This has been going on since Abby opened the restaurant. They look pretty, but really, this is right up there with Nick putting his shoes on the bed. I would love to have a drink at Society, but I would request that my garnish come from the kitchen or beneath the bar. Yes, Lori. See, these are the little details. This is why we Y&R Chat. Sitting there staring at those garnishes on the bar for the past 2 years will drive you crazy. You know, you gotta have somewhere to get that out. It's how I feel about shoes on the bed. If I didn't have somebody to tell that to, it would drive me crazy. So yes, they do the same thing at the Grand Phoenix too. I think Phyllis always has some cherries sitting out on the bar. It's not sanitary. The bar at Society needs a sneeze guard at the very least if they're gonna keep the garnishes there. What are we going to do about these restaurants? Somebody needs to call the health department. And was Tessa certified to make that drink for Mariah? Do we need to call the health department on Crimson Lights too? Oh, how about not? Victoria says Tessa can be my barista any day. Mariah's coffee or hot chocolate looked incredibly delicious. It would be well worth the calories. Extra chocolate curls for me. Yes! The drink that Tessa made for Mariah looked like a delicious monstrosity. Make it 2, please. Oh, we did it! We did it. Another Y&R Chat. I have to say this week was very good for me. I don't know if it's me being in a certain place or the show being in a certain place, but I was just really getting to dig into all the characters and just feeling all of their motivations and their psychological places. And plus we have Jill and Ashley, and there's all this nostalgia and Catherine's portrait. This was just a good week for me. I think next week's going to be good too. I want to see this welcome home party. I feel like there's gonna be a good drama there. Because last week I was thinking, where's the November sweeps? The last couple weeks I've been thinking, is it sweeps yet? You know, I mean, we didn't really get anything that was very ba-boom. But for some reason this week was sort of a subtle psychological ba-boom for me. Were you ba-boomed? If so, go to yrchance.com. to leave your comments. No, it's yrchat.com to leave your comments. I love hearing from you guys, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Now, I have something to say. Happy birthday, Astra. Your birthday is the same day as my daughter's. Let's see, so December 11th. Oh, congratulations. You have another birthday. You've made it another year. Oh, I'll always remember that, Astra. I will always remember your birthday now, obviously because it shares my daughter's. Well, That's wonderful. I have to say, though, I am kind of wondering how exactly I'm going to get everything pulled together for Y&R Chat next week, because I know I'm going to be busy on my daughter's birthday. It might be a little late, so don't anybody be surprised or shocked if Y&R Chat is late next Sunday. Hopefully I'll be able to do the video and everything. It's just, I mean, I'm not doing like a big party or anything, but I want to make sure that she has my absolute attention all day for her 5th birthday. Oh gosh, I can't believe it's been 5 years. She's so adorable. This has been the best year of my life. Her 4th year has been the best year of my life. I'm looking forward to 5, and I'll be cutting a piece of unicorn cake for you too, Astra. Getting a Baskin Robbins ice cream cake in the shape of a unicorn. So I'm gonna, in my mind, when I'm slicing cake, I'm gonna give you a slice too, Astra, so you can have some unicorn. Sprinkles. Oh, well, I hope that you guys enjoyed the Y&R this week, and I hope that you enjoyed the Y&R Chat, and do come back even if it is a little late next week. I love you guys, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.